Hello, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I am a second year MSTC student at NC State. Today, I will be walking you through a self improvement report for the class COM 530 Interpersonal Communication in Science and Technology Organizations. While reading through the material for this course, I found a lot of helpful information for self improvement, both professionally and personally. I gained a lot of knowledge about language, listening, confidence, persuasion, and the ins and outs of networking. Today, I will be focusing on a facet of my professional development that I feel is a weakness: emotional intelligence. Developing high emotional intelligence, also known as EI, correlates with a successful career. Those with high levels of EI can build strong relationships in the workplace and manage difficult situations more effectively. According to influential psychologist Daniel Goleman, there is a framework of 5 elements that define emotional intelligence. Those are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. I was able to take the emotional intelligence quiz to discover which of these 5 elements I could improve upon. By taking this quiz, I was able to discover which elements I was weakest in and use that as an opportunity to build upon that element in the future. After taking the 15-question quiz, I received the following results. My overall score fell at the bottom of the highest range, with 57 out of a possible 75 points. My self-awareness score was 11 out of 15, self-regulation 9 out of 15, motivation 13 out of 15, empathy 13 out of 15, and finally social skills 11 out of 15. I had rather high empathy and motivation scores, however my self-regulation, self-awareness, and social skill scores were on the lower end. After reviewing my answers for the questions on the quiz, I discovered that I wanted to focus on self-awareness and self-regulation for this assignment. I believe I got such a low score in self-awareness because of my answer for number 11. The question was, I asked people for feedback on what I do well and how I can improve. While taking this quiz, I answered rarely. However, I think this answer actually should be teetering between rarely and not at all. Professionally, I hardly ever ask for feedback because if it is negative feedback, that means I will likely have to change my strategy in order to meet their standards. I have several situations from my lifetime where this fear of asking for feedback has occurred. The fear likely stems from playing soccer growing up and being afraid of yearly evaluations with my coach. I was always willing to improve, but I was scared of being scolded for me trying my best. Beyond soccer, I was always a fantastic student. I enjoyed school because I received instant feedback on each of my assignments and classes in the form of a grade. Then, when I make a smaller jump from school to work, I feel I am doing similar assignments, but I am no longer receiving the letter grade evaluation after each submission. I must now go out of my way to communicate with my boss that I want to know how I'm doing. I feel like I'm wasting their time and mine by bothering them to check in with my progress. Let's switch over to self-regulation, which was my lowest category with 9 out of 15 points. This is because I sometimes find it difficult to calm down when I'm anxious or upset. I am an emotional person, which means I cry easily when I am frustrated or hurt. I also hold grudges and remember traumatic events easily, so it is hard for me to move on from those situations. A situation where I struggle to calm myself down is when I am overwhelmed with a workload, such as in class or at work. I try to organize my life and control my schedule hour by hour. However, if my schedule changes unpredictably either because of my own management or because someone else added something to my plate, I'll get frustrated or overwhelmed very easily. A situation in which I find it difficult to move on when I feel frustrated or unhappy is when someone loses my trust. This happens both personally and professionally when someone lets me down. Professionally, it can happen when I rely on someone to help me out and they don't hold up their end of the bargain. For example, if I have an assignment with someone and we need to complete it by a certain time and they don't finish their part of the assignment, then it looks bad on both of us, not just them. In the future, I will likely not want to work with them, and if I do have to work with them, I will make sure to check in with them often to ensure both of our success. After speaking with my support system, they said that self-awareness and self-regulation do seem like things I can improve upon. While those in my support system have learned not to take it personally when they see me get frustrated or anxious around them, I recognize that those who aren't close to me might find this off-putting, which is why I'm creating a self-improvement plan. For my improvement plan, I utilized 3 main resources. Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, is a fantastic resource for learning about emotional intelligence. Referencing this book can help me manage my self-awareness in stressful situations. Goleman said that people with high self-awareness are aware of their moods as they are having them. I think I am generally aware of my moods, especially when I am in a comfortable situation. However, if you remove me from my comfort zone, for example, in a situation at work where I have to confront someone, I often stumble on my words and struggle to get my point across. Goleman recommends working on mindfulness by perhaps keeping a journal. Also, to help me avoid the fear of asking for feedback, Goleman recommends people practice asking for feedback. My second source was from mindtools.com. It was an article called Self-Regulation: Managing Your Emotions at Work. MindTools is the website where I took the emotional intelligence quiz. According to MindTools, negative emotions are difficult to deal with as is, let alone when they happen in a work environment. It is important to learn how to cope with negative feelings like frustration or anxiety so they don't end up affecting your work. This article has several tips for dealing with frustration and irritation, such as stop and evaluate the situation, find something positive about the situation, and remember the last time you felt frustrated. These tips will play a major part in my improvement plan for this assignment. Lastly, I found a book called The EQ Difference: A Powerful Plan for Putting Emotional Intelligence to Work by Adele B. Lynn. In the book, Lynn said a quote that really stuck with me. Emotional intelligence can make a huge difference in both our personal lives and our work satisfaction and performance. Emotional intelligence is the distinguishing factor that determines if we make lemonade when life hands us lemons or spend our life stuck in bitterness. It is the distinguishing factor that enables us to have wholesome, warm relationships rather than cold and distant contacts. Unfortunately, I find myself stuck in the bitterness of life sometimes, especially professionally, when I am unable to get out of an emotional or frustration rut. My professional goal is to grow as a professional, which includes self-improvement as well as improving my network. If I have a low emotional intelligence, I may not be able to build solid connections with others in my profession. Now that we have reviewed a few scholarly articles, let's shift gears to talk about my improvement plan. According to Daniel Goleman's recommendation, one way I could improve my self-awareness is by being more mindful of how I am feeling in the moment. My measurable plan for this will be to keep a journal at my desk to write down my emotions, what triggered them, how I reacted, and how I can act differently in the future. My goal is to start writing in it once per week and going from there. The second part of my self-awareness improvement plan will be to start asking for feedback. I think I will implement this into my end-of-week emails with my boss. Every Friday, I send her an email recapping the work I've done for that week. I think a realistic goal will be for me to ask her at the end of the email every couple of weeks for feedback to discuss during the following meeting. My improvement plan for self-regulation includes 3 measurable events that I will add to my life. The first is something to implement in a moment of stress. My goal is to work on deep breathing. I have some experience with different types of breathing, such as breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and then breathing out for 4 seconds. I have found this breathing exercise to be very relaxing and grounding. I will do this on an as-needed basis. In order to improve a negative situation, I will implement Goleman's tip of stop and evaluate the situation, as well as find something positive about the situation. By stopping what I'm doing to evaluate, I will find clarity and realize that the answer is probably not as difficult to find as I once believed. And then, by finding something positive about the situation, I will actively realize that this situation isn't the end of the world. Finally, similar to the self-awareness plan, I will write in a worry log, which will be in the same journal as my emotions journal, in order to reflect on what I have worried about each week and see if it was actually something worth stressing over. Exactly 1 week ago today, I began to implement this plan into my life. In the moment of completing these exercises, I definitely saw an improvement in my overall mood. It is hard to say what the long-term effects will be, but I can only imagine that they will continue to be positive. My favorite exercise from this assignment was the journaling and logging of my emotions and worries. I think putting negative thoughts down on paper helps me remove them from the forefront of my mind. I also really enjoyed reflecting as part of that activity. I think writing down my reaction as well as what I could have done differently or better will really benefit me in the future because I will have a tool to reference when I am in similar situations. After journaling my emotions and logging my worries for 1 week, I have decided a bit of a new plan where I will log my worries and emotions as they come up, and at the end of every 2 weeks, I will reflect on them as a whole. I wanted to create a goal from journaling, and my goal will be to be overall more in touch with my emotions and make sure that I am able to react appropriately to various situations professionally and personally. While I can't tell if my emotional intelligence score improved dramatically, I am proud of myself for taking the first step toward improvement. By actively thinking about my emotional intelligence for 1 week, I was able to learn several things, such as what triggers me when I am getting emotional, what coping mechanisms work to bring me down from being super emotional, who I can talk to about specific issues such as family, friends, and my boss, and, more importantly, what not to do when I am in a negative situation. Here are the sources I used for this project. Thank you.